into like genetic fucking mutations and all this modifications that the Anunnaki or whatever could have brought to us, but possibly potentially through all, the clay tablets and shit. It's like that could be what we are like, our next step is to give the power of consciousness or the connectivity of electricity to another, to a fucking another species, bro.
Bro, I can't wait for the gyms to open back up, dog. I'm so over this shit. I've worked out twice since the quarantine started at home.
Shit, it's going down.
But like last week, so I did 2 workouts last week, and then I'm gonna like.
Wait, last week? So
no,
Sunday, before that, you didn't do anything?
No, not dude. I was working out consistently until the gyms closed, and then the gyms closed, and I'm like, alright, it's kind of hard to like. Just like, all right, am I supposed to work out right there? Am I supposed to like put my mat down on the hardwood floor by the dining room table? Or am I supposed to do it in the living room where there's like 2 carpets that don't really make sense to work out on? Am I supposed to do it up with my pig in the room? Like, where am I supposed to fucking do it?
I know, it's a
You know what I mean? I don't know. What about you? You've been doing your push-ups and shit, huh?
Yeah, I just did it in my room when I wake
Flex
up.
your shit.
Flex my shit. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there,
You're there, bro. Your pecs.
That's what it works out, bro.
No gay shit, but like.
He said.
Yeah, my shit's not there right now.
Just from a couple weeks, you think?
Oh yeah, bro. Push-ups do it quick.
No, I'm saying like from you not doing it for a couple weeks, like
muscle deterioration happens in the first 48 hours.
Oh shit!
That's why if you're not working out every
but I thought you're supposed
to
give yourself a rest in between.
You are muscle groups. You're supposed to rest a muscle group.
Okay.
So like if you're doing chest day, you're resting your legs. If you're doing, that's why they recommend
that makes sense.
That's why they recommend you do back and biceps on the same day. That way, when you do chest and triceps, like your biceps and your back both have an opportunity to rest because those are both the pull groups.
Okay.
Like when you do biceps, you're pulling. When you do back, you're pulling, and you're contracting your biceps.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
When you're doing chest, you're pushing, and when you're doing triceps, you're pushing. So when you're doing back and biceps, you're not contracting your triceps or your chest that much. And then shoulders are kind of like their own separate world, but you can kind of do it offset with back because, again, like when you're pulling, you're not pushing, and shoulders is a push too.
Okay.
And then legs is...
So shoulders is always a push, pretty much.
Yeah, you're never... like with shoulders, there's never really a pull motion going on.
So when you do the one like behind your... That's for your back, when you do like that bar behind your back.
What, this one?
Yeah.
No, that's shoulders.
Okay.
Back is like pulling in.
Okay.
Or like there's certain back muscles that kind of like are intertwined with shoulders. Like have you ever sat on a chair and like leaned forward like this and then went like that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Like
I don't know.
Here, like this.
Okay.
That's like a combination of shoulders and back.
Oh, okay. That's like when you do, I mean, there's a machine that you can do that on, right?
Yeah, and you can do it with just dumbbells. So you just lean forward and like depending on how far forward that you tilt over, like it'll change what muscle you're hitting.
Yeah, okay.
And like that happens with all muscle groups. That's why like if you do push-ups really close or push-ups really wide, you're getting a whole different workout. So you can really do everything at your crib, bro.
Yeah.
When I was in Egypt, on top of the little like thing when we were flowing down the little boat that we were on, flowing down the Nile, it had like a turf on top. I was there for 3 days, and for all 3 days, I was just doing like whatever like I could do just by myself.
Wait, on the river?
Yeah.
You were working out on the river?
On the river Nile, bro.
It
was actually pretty fucking epic. I connected with myself super
unbelievable.
Spiritual.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing you can do, like that's definitely
looking at the Nile is crazy because like there are parts of it where you're like looking and there's like oasis areas where there's like a bunch of palm trees, and then you'll go like really far down, like in between cities, like big cities, and there'll be like tombs that you can see from like the river. You just see tombs and you're like, oh, that's a tomb. And to like all the Egyptian people, that's like normal. But to me, I'm like,
no, of course,
it's a fucking tomb right there. Like, what?
And dude, yeah, I have this book. It talks about like how, or just like ancient life in Egypt and stuff, and talks about how they used to take tours down the Nile River just like that and just like see all the different, you know, because it used to be like closer to the pyramids and shit like that. So
it was way bigger, bro. It was way bigger. It was so big that like the area of Kamumbo, back in the day, used to come up right to where they have this little like water dial that like measured the river Nile. And gators. There was a little island in the middle where gators would be. That's why that area was known for like that alligator god, like Kamumbo. And like nowadays, all the gators are trapped above the dam that's there that was built, I think, in the 90s. But before that, there were gators everywhere, bro.
That's insane,
and now they're all in
dog.
one lake above the dam. And like we went to the edge of the dam, and saw the lake that they're all in. And I was like, are we gonna be able to see gators from here? Or I think, my bad. Sorry, Egyptians, crocodiles. They're crocodiles. But yeah, you can't see them because the dam is so like big to keep them out. That like looking at the water is like already really far away, and then they're like way out in the water. They're like way out there on like an island.
So you can really see them.
No, you couldn't see them at all. But I want to see them.
I mean, those fools are probably looking at their old spot like, damn. That's where we used to be, dog.
Yeah, they made the river so much smaller.
Yeah, definitely. And it just dries up, no? Just because like it's in the desert, so don't. No?
No, what they do is since they have control over it because of the dam, they just let water out. And then it
when
fills
they want?
up. Yeah.
That's crazy how humans have that much control over the earth, you know?
How do you build a dam in the first place?
I've always, how do you build a pier? First of all, and then how do you build a dam? Yeah, exactly.
With the waves crashing and the water flowing? Like, what are you doing? You have to just like come from the air and sink like a really heavy cement like pole like in there so that like it's so heavy that the water can't move it. But like that's dangerous. Like, right?
I don't know, bro. I've always thought about that. I've been like, how do you build these aquatic structures, bro? Like this is mind bending. And first of all, it's deep, you know, like
especially if there were gators or crocodiles in the water while you're trying to build this. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, kill them all before you start? Like,
they're still there, obviously, so they didn't kill them all. So
they just like caught them and put them above the. I bet you once in a while, bro, one gets out. Because all that they'd have to do is just walk out of the water onto the desert. Because like right there is like the Sahara Desert at the edge of where that dam's at, and it just goes. And it goes to Africa. It goes to fucking what's that place? It's like Nubian. It goes to the Nubian. Yeah. Anyway, all they have to do is like walk up into that desert and then come around the dam through the desert and then walk back into the water.
How long can a fucking crocodile live out? Or is it a crocodile outside of in the desert though? I think they need that water.
Probably.
That's why.
But you feel like there'd be one trooper that could just like make it and then slaughter a whole village.
Life has a tendency to live, you know, so like
one day,
yeah, exactly.
One giant one that has like an energy store of water is gonna like take a ride on a camel and eat that camel's hump open, drink all the water and be good and just fucking crawl into the river and then kill some motherfuckers.
Fuck, bro. Dude, that just reminds me of like those goats that I think we talked about it before, and there's like that go on the mountain just to lick that little salt thing. You know, they'll risk their lives on the like the side of the fucking wall. It's literally like
yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's just crazy, bro. They're billy goats, right?
Yeah, billy goats, exactly. Like that's just more like
the
life.
The fact that they could just climb mountains like that too is fucking gnarly, bro.
Well, they learned how to. They got their fucking balls up and said, "I'm doing it." That thing looks so good, mouth watering.
I need that sodium chloride
salt stone, just like lick the wall real quick, and then they have to jump all the way down. Yeah, so it's like, you know, it's like life will do what it needs to do for the things that it wants, and it's pretty amazing, dude.
It's crazy how animals adapt too. Like my iguana, like it has an adaptation where like when she's afraid, she can fill her body up with air and appear to be like twice the size that she really is. And I'm like, how the fuck are you doing that? Makes no sense. Or like the dewlap that like comes out and like makes her look bigger too. Like it's just all to defend.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this earlier. Everything that's like Mother Nature gives you is like a defense mechanism from nature. You know, it's weird. She gives you a defense against herself pretty much. It's weird.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm. It's cool though. It's really, really cool. It gives things, you know, individuality, and gives certain beings shields and weapons and fucking feathers that like have different colors that like camouflage. Some fucking lizards can literally turn the same color as
what they're on. Chameleons.
Yeah. And then like octopus can do that shit too.
Bro, octopuses are the craziest things ever, bro. Those things can like go through a keyhole. That's how crazy. Like that doesn't even make any fucking sense. That does not make any fucking sense.
And they escape from everything. They have like little. You can look up like octopus escapes, and they have like they time them, and it's pretty much like a game, which is kind of sus if you ask me. They just got them stuck in this time. Oh yeah, this is the best octopus in the world. 3 minutes to exit this jar. You know, it's like nigga, this thing's like an intelligent being. But whatever.
It knows what's going on for sure.
That's why it's escaping every time.
Yo, we gotta get an octopus to solve a Rubik's Cube with its 8 legs and shit.
I bet it's possible. I bet you. I bet a monkey could do it, or like a chimp. You know how, bro, remember those movies back in the day, like where it'd be like a skating chimp or like the chimp would play basketball or something like that? Like, what the fuck? What? You never really see, or I don't really see too much about like, I thought it would be more of like a hand-on-hand relationship, you know, between us and like the chimps nowadays, just because like they were playing basketball with us back in the day and they were skating and shit. You know, I thought I would see some innovative shit from it, but
to be honest, bro, like okay, all of that shit is possible. It's just the amount of time and energy and resources that we can allocate to it. But the fact is, like, if no one's funding it, it's not gonna happen, which is really fucking sad because like. That's why I say when we can automate everything off that free energy in the world, Tesla type shit, like, we have time to go, like, be one with nature. We have time to go, like, fucking elevate the other animals. Like, I feel like all other animals are a lot more conscious than we give them credit for. And if we just focused on them in that way and had time to, like, focus on them in that way, that, like, a lot... Like, not only would human vibration increase, but, like, we would see the vibration of other animals increase. And, like, all the defense mechanisms given by nature on some, like, live or die shit would kind of, like, dissipate. And then it would be, like, a growing of their intelligence.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
it wouldn't have to be a defense mechanism anymore, as opposed to the defense would be there. And now we worry about adding on to growing as a species itself, as opposed to it trying to survive before it gets eaten by the next species.
Exactly. And then like a million years from now, that species maybe would be able to like go out and like, you know, create a civilization and fucking teach about its past and all that type of shit. It would just like be something that we would, our ancestors would see. But
bro,
maybe that's what already happened.
I was about to say that has to be probably, you know, when we get into like genetic fucking mutations and all this modifications that the Anunnaki or whatever could have brought to us, but potentially through all, you know, the clay tablets and shit. It's like that could be what we are, like, you know, our next step is to give the power of consciousness or the connectivity of electricity to another, you know, to a fucking another species, bro.
That's such a wild concept.
Yeah.
I've seen some weird alien shit before where like there's like aliens that look like lions, there's aliens that look like fucking reptiles, there's aliens that look like white people from fucking Norway.
They're like the Nordic beings and shit. Bro, but it's all because if it's in our imagination, then it has to be possible. If there are unlimited galaxies with unlimited planets, then there has to be unlimited possibilities of humanoid possibilities. There could be a 4-legged human thing that walks around on a planet while the lion humanoids actually walk around on 2 legs, you know? And like it could be like some weird backward shit like that, you know?
Yeah, because it really doesn't matter. It all depends on like
environment,
what ingredients are there for life and who got the first head start. You know what I mean? Like, we were lucky that the dinosaurs got wiped out. Well, according to the official narrative, we are lucky that the dinosaurs got wiped out as mammals and we were able to, like, flourish long enough to evolve, if that's how everything happened. And
either way you spice it, like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
but dinosaurs used to run around like T-Rex. That's gods. A 2-legged walking thing that ran the fucking jungle.
Gods of the earth. Like, you know, they would stomp on a nigga and take him out, you know? Like,
they ruled this world. And maybe they were more intelligent than we know. Bro, what if they were the reptilians?
There's a TED Talk that not goes into exactly that they're reptilians, but that dinosaurs were evolving at such a fast pace that we don't know. Like, the skulls that we find are just different levels of the dinosaur evolving that quick. So the species that we thought we knew ended up being like less species into like a couple different ones because they were like, you know, they were fucking morphing that far. Like,
so wait. Oh my God, what you just said fucking blew my mind because they say that there's something like that in the hollow of the earth. If the earth was hollow, or if there are
little layers or something.
Beings living inside, like maybe under the crust because they need a higher temperature. And if that's the case, and they're really, because I'd never even thought until right fucking now about a possibility of they were on the planet for hundreds of millions of years, and they didn't evolve into intelligent creatures. What the fuck is mainstream science doing to my mind? How did I never think of that till right now? They totally had the time. And like all those movies that we would watch as kids where it would like pretty much program dinosaurs in our minds as just dumb, mindless things that would just battle each other, kill each other, and eat each other. They had plenty of time to evolve as a species and become small enough and fucking smart enough to fucking have consciousness, bro.
Bro, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
What the fuck? They're in the earth right now. They're like, my grandpappy was T-Rex.
And that's like, we know when they get into like shape-shifting reptilians or whatever, it's like if they were shape-shifting that quick, the dinosaurs were shape-shifting that quick, you don't know what they're capable of.
What if that's where fucking vampires come from?
And what? Explain.
Like, okay, so some people connect like vampires to bats, but other people's stories connect vampires to reptiles. Like if you look,
if Cold blood.
Yeah, no, yes, exactly.
Okay.
If you look in certain like Mayan and Aztec texts, there's this there's vampires in their stories. Like if you've ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn, and maybe you've seen the show that's attached to it. Have you seen the show?
I've never seen the show, no. But
okay, there's a Netflix show attached to it.
I know it's on Netflix.
And there's like a legend where the vampires of their cultures actually come from reptiles and snakes and shit. And they like transform, instead of like transforming like bats, they transform and get scaly like reptiles.
Bro, have to put it out. You have to take pieces from everywhere, and dog.
They eat, and they look like they have snake fangs. But they're not really sucking blood. They're just using that to like, and the blood gives them sustenance. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like
Just like the cabal.
But if you tie that in. That's why you're saying taking it from everything, like take something from everything, the totality of evidence, like. Then they would be direct descendants of those creatures because they would have been the most intelligent beings on the planet, and they would have passed their bloodline down, and they're a superior bloodline, a more intelligent bloodline from Egypt all the way till now.
Correct.
And they're from Africa.
That is what people believe, like, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. No, but but they're saying that from space. Whatever that is, you know.
They would have been from space first.
Space to Africa, yeah, exactly. Which is... so weird. It's just so weird exactly to think about.
Or whoa. What if before the Anunnaki, if there's two different groups of aliens that came to the planet, there was like really dumb reptiles and smart reptiles came down, saw the dumb ones like the T-Rexes and like that fucking hundreds of millions of time before humans showed up after the dinosaurs went extinct.
And there was like nothing.
They were creating like their race, like way before ours. And they would look like aliens. Maybe they left and came back.
Why not? If this, dude, exactly.
You guys probably think that we're jumping to a whole lot of conclusions, but like we've seen so many things that we can kind of just, me and him understand each other. We get each other.
But also, like what you were stating, bro, you can look into all that stuff. Like, how did the dinosaurs not evolve for millions? Hundreds. Yeah, they were on this earth ruling as like the elite, bro. The elite, you know? Something had to change, in that time.
And the fact that no one ever even thinks about that. Oh, there's
people
no evidence.
No, people do. The mainstream doesn't. Mainstream's fucked up.
One more thing before we get off vampires and potentially. Let's see how far we're. Yeah, we still have some time to bullshit for a little bit before we get into our main topic. Yo, have you ever seen Harlem Vampire or Brooklyn Vampire? My bad, from Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
That intro that he gives, like when he's like introducing himself, intro. He pretty much. He's like, after the vampires fled from Egypt,
fucking.
Yeah,
dude,
bro. I'll show you exactly what he said right now.
Bro, like,
that's what I'm saying. They always drop it, and the vampire that he's portrayed to be as in that movie looks a lot like a motherfucking snake when he, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
bro. And Enki, or Ptah, or Ra's father is the snake.
Exactly.
The snake of the Bible.
Satan, Saturn, all that.
But it's also the symbol of medicine.
And
eternal life.
I know.
Dude, it's fucked up how like the half-truths and the misinformation like make you not trust like what you feel like you know is right.
No, that should, exactly. And from what they said, Enki is Osiris, and that is...
no, Osiris is the son of Ra, who is the son of Enki.
No, well, in that video, they literally said Anki is Osiris. In that 432 the Tesla video, they literally equated. They said if.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy because the Zachariah Sitchin shit says that Anki is Ra's dad and Ra is Osiris's dad. But I guess none of it really matters.
It's all mythology to explain certain phenomena anyway, you know? So, yeah, exactly. It's not actual. I mean, if it was actual events, then we can't prove it, so.
Damn.
Wait, why don't you go to YouTube? Did you do that? Yeah, the fact that Egypt mentioned a lot, bro, throughout a lot of fucking cinemas and shit like that. Like, if you just start to put the pieces together and not like, it doesn't necessarily have to be face value. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's transforming beings, but there could be, you know, but like at the same time, you can take these little bits of information and fucking piece it together because.
Damn, they gave it a 10% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dude, Rotten Tomatoes is a fucking tough one. You have to have a good ass movie.
See, they're not even trying to let you look up that shit. They're like, that shit's too conscious for y'all.
I'll fucking watch that shit when I get home. Or
yeah,
like,
no, he literally is like, after the vampires fled from their original home in Egypt. Like, he literally says that in the beginning of the movie. And then they go to Transylvania. Then I come to New York. Like, he makes it funny, but it's like, why would you say that? Where did you hear that? Like, who even put that in your mind to put that in your movie? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know. I do know, but I don't know. And he, like, the first black portrayal of a vampire. He was.
Exactly.
There wasn't any, like, African-American portrayals of vampires. It was all Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
Dracula.
Yeah, exactly. Because that has to do with the absence of sunlight, bro, because they can't live in the sun, you know? Like, that all ties into that whole thing about the sun burning them to death, and they're night beings, and they come out at night and do their fucking bidding, and it's like evil or whatever. But it's like, I'm pretty sure that
I could play a role in it, the lack of melanin because you can't go in the sun. But could you not go in the sun from years of being in the earth?
Exactly. No,
in the earth,
or in an ice shield in Antarctica, or at land ice, all land ice, or there's a bunch of different theories.
There's a bunch of theories
that go into exactly.
Above
bro.
Majestic got into that the fact that you can't go to Antarctica because there's colonies of millions of these fuckers.
You can't go to. There's a treaty that everyone has signed. Every nation in the world has signed that no one can go to Antarctica. That is insane. That means that everybody's in agreement that why? Why isn't there not one country that doesn't want to go there?
Because fucking Megatron's in the ice, bro.
But you feel me though?
Megatron too, like those you get it. You get it. It all connects.
Exactly.
Whether it's robot aliens or vampires or dinosaurs that are super intelligent or Anunnaki aliens from a planet somewhere far depths of our solar system, all of it could all be happening at the same time. Exactly. One of it could be true, and they're all connected.
And who knows how old this Earth is? Like all have happened.
And who knows how many universes and time streams there have been where these exact scenarios have played out just slightly different.
That's where, dude. I don't understand quantum physics because they'll try to prove all day, or like they'll like walk around the whole like God or like an infinite creator or like coincidence, or everything. It all has to do with entanglement. It has to do with mathematical equation that you can write on a piece of paper. But then they get into dimensions, and they get into things that you can't touch, you can't prove, you can only see through observations. So like it's so weird that they try to dance around this whole like coincidence, God creator type being when.
Yeah,
they literally explained it in their.
They're Roganing it. They're just talking about what they are able to say is a fact. They aren't like the Sean Carroll guy explained it in his speech, and the other guy, the really other smart guy that we talked about on our third podcast. What was his name? Do you remember? We were talking about him, but we were kind of talking shit on him.
Oh, Brian Greene. Yeah, Brian Greene. Yeah.
He said it too. He's like, we only talk about the things that are discernible truths. Mm-hmm. And like everything else can be a possibility and we might consider it in our mind, but we're not going to talk about it like it's fact because that would be a disservice to science. That's what they say. And I get it, bro. We need that group of people doing that so that people aren't batshit crazy. Because some people take the information that we possess and then they just go fucking crazy, dog, because they're not ready to like handle what that means. They might kill themselves. They might go on a rampage of like trying to be a truther and just putting it all on blast at once, get themselves killed or just make themselves look like a lunatic. Like certain people just like, because our society is set up the way that it is,
it's because of the society.
It's because of the society. Like, we should all be able to like consider every possibility and take it with an open mind and like take everything with a grain of salt and like really contemplate things and hold multiple realities and ideas of truth in our mind. But how many people could even recite back what I just said?
I don't even know. Dude. But what if that anyway, what if that all has to do with vibrations, you know? Like, if we since they can't operate on that vibration, taking all these other vibrations that they don't understand or can't comprehend in their wave function makes them go crazy and gives them, you know, like their output isn't up to par with their input.
That's wild.
You sure you don't want to go into the Charles Manson?
Yeah, let's go into Charles Manson.
Because this one's going to be...
This is going to be a good 30 minutes for sure. Let me set that timer.
We got all next episode. We talk about electromagnetism, the Ankh, the fucking Sumerians, the Egyptians...
Bro, I feel like I could talk about that for
forever.
The rest of my life, bro. For the rest of my life.
But why do you think that, though? Because it's
so
embedded in your being, bro.
Like the frequency that resonates with the fucking root chakra, like if you ever turn it up really loud, it's like a really low frequency. It like makes your fucking brain vibrate, like how it vibrates when you're like tripping balls on acid. And like that's the feeling that I get when I used to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day.
Damn, that was a good time.
For real. For real. But anyway, okay, so we are about to break down the Joe Rogan podcast where he had Tom O'Neill on. And if you don't know who Tom O'Neill is, he is actually a man who spent 20 years of his life 20 years of his life writing a book on the corruption involved in the Charlie Manson murder trials, the Tate murders, the LaBianca murders, as well as CIA, MK Ultra, and different abuses of the black shadow government's power and actual provable shit that he has compiled into this book.
Bro. And you know what's funny? He kept on saying, that's not even what I have on Robert Kennedy. That's not even what I have on... I don't even have anything.
He has so much information, bro. It's like... The craziest part about it is the government does let it out when it's so old that it doesn't change anything or like doesn't really matter to the people that are in the society anymore. Like if they let stuff off about Kennedy, like only my mom's generation and my grandparents would care about that, and they're not gonna be here that much longer. It's not like kids our age give a fuck about that type of shit. So it wouldn't even affect their perception of the world around them.
I can't believe you said that, bro, because that's exactly what Merkaba said, because he posted the tapes of fucking Kennedy's wife because she went off on MLK's fucking just everybody around like that whole situation when when John F. Kennedy got fucking murdered and like everything. She like literally snitched on everyone. Said that MLK was having orgies with like all these strippers and fucking because those were rumors, but she like basically proved it or like pretty much confirmed it in speech. But, like, it's still not proven. But, like, she wouldn't say that unless she knew that nobody would know that. No one was going to be around for her to hear that shit 50 years later through the Freedom of Information Act when things get released, like, 50 years to 100 years after you're gone. So, like, it doesn't matter, you know?
All you got to do is listen to the John Kennedy speech once, like the one that he gave 13 days before he was assassinated.
And
about secret societies and shadow governments and not allowing, like, America is against that type of shit and this is going on, like, bro, he had mob ties, and he said that.
He said that, exactly. And it trips me out that people still will be like, the government will never do anything to harm. It's been proven, bro. Like,
oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist.
Did you hear what? Okay,
bro, just open your fucking eyes, dog. Like,
it was weird what Joe Rogan said on the podcast too. He said that too. He said, "Damn, they used to do crazy stuff back in the day." Which, could have been a broad statement meaning like, wow, back in the day. But, like, it was almost like closing off the...
That's because Rogan be really trying to deflect that type of shit. The Illuminati on his ass. No.
I know, right? But, like, isn't that crazy? He'll be like, yeah, wow, the government was so corrupt back in the day. So what's stopping them from being corrupt literally right this second?
They could be doing hella shit that we have nothing... Like, Rogan knows that, though.
Yeah.
Rogan knows that.
He knows where to not where to overstep his boundaries. I understand. But, it was just funny to hear those, like, words, because it closed off that whole...
Because the fact that they were doing fucking LSD experiments on people without them knowing in the 40s and the 50s, and people didn't even have LSD in their own personal possession until the 60s, that's fucking crazy. But anyway, let me go over the different topics I have written down, and then we'll pick the first one we want to talk about. So we have the Vince Pugliosi topic, which is like his fraud prosecution story with Charles Manson, how he admits the truth of like fudging information in the trial and threatens Tom if he publishes the information, and how the murders don't add up. We have Pugliosi being compromised, and like how Tom has compiled evidence that this guy was compromised with how he was abusing his power like through his whole career. We have Manson, and how Manson's pro officer was giving him immunity from prison between 67 and 69 and just letting him out of jail every time he get caught up for doing dumb shit. We have Manson being a possible CIA plant to develop Manchurian candidates. We have CIA positioning Manson to make psychedelics and hippies look bad, creating a narrative in people's minds about drugs. And then we have CIA testing drugs on people against their will and enlisting graduate students and hookers to drug unwilling subjects. We have all of those topics. We can start. Where do you want to start with?
No, let's just start at the beginning so it's easier.
Right.
And if we bounce off, we just bounce around. Yeah.
All right. So the entire Charles Manson murder trial was a flub, bro.
Flub. I like that
Everything
word.
that happened in the public eye, Vince Pugliosi, the prosecutor, was getting people to give false testimonies, therefore committing perjury in the court, like having people that were witnesses like say, hey, no, I didn't see Manson after the murders. And like this guy, Tom, compiled information showing like, hey, a really important witness that was a participant, or like I think it was like the owner of the crib where the Tate murders went down. Like he said he didn't see Manson after the murders. And then Tom proved that he did see Manson after the murders. Just that one flub of information would have been enough to get both of those two, the prosecutor and the person on the stand, arrested for perjury, and then they would have gotten charged with capital murder just like Manson and gotten electrocuted. So, like, what do you think about all that, bro? I think that was fucking crazy, bro.
I think it's crazy, but I think that if it was that obvious, and like how he goes into just how everybody was kind of playing a part in the, like the corruption of the case, like, who knows if the judge was in on it? Who knows who was actually in on it? Not necessarily the judge, but just from being influenced by whoever else is around there. And like you said, that dude Pelosi was influencing people or like bribing people to lie on the stand about the most like one of the most serious murders of like in American history, pretty much. Like on some real shit.
That's kind of how where the three of the topics that we have kind of blend together, where the CIA being in on it and them trying to push a narrative to make drugs, psychedelics, and hippies look terrible.
Exactly.
All kind of like is intertwined because he was pushing a certain narrative, and if any of the facts that he was pushing didn't line up to tell this like beautiful story he had, where he could then go write a book called Helter Skelter, igniting race wars between white and black people and like all that shit, like he wouldn't have been able to push that fictional story if he didn't have all those elements which he was creating in his own trial. That's insane. If he was alive right now, he would be getting arrested because of this book. Like, people don't understand the weight of that. The Charles Manson story, the most famous serial killer story in the world, is fake.
Or fabricated in a way.
Fabricated, changed, and we don't know it in context.
We don't even know who is the actual killers, right? Like, that's what was going on, like, because it's all backwards, so we skipped around a bunch.
So Charles Manson never actually killed anyone?
Of course, yeah.
That is something that they know now. Yeah. But, like, when he was connecting the fact that the CIA during MK Ultra in the 40s and 50s when they were starting it, until, like, I think the late 60s when it ended, in the 70s when it all came out, they were attempting to use psychedelic drugs, which if you know anything about MK Ultra, they were attempting to use psychedelic drugs to be able to trigger people and make them do acts that are against their moral code without their knowledge and without hesitation. Like being able to flip a switch in someone's mind where they go and commit a murder and then wake up and know nothing about it, don't know how they got there, don't know why they killed that person. And the CIA was so interested in Manson, quote unquote, like apparently because he was getting these people in his family to do shit like this. He was able to control their minds in a way to be like, hey, I know that you love people and you're a hippie and we do a lot of LSD, but you need to go kill this person. And they would go do it.
Through a lot of probably like, it's like a brainwash manipulation where you probably make it seem, or he probably made it seem, or whoever was the ringleader makes it seem like you're doing a good deed too.
Yes.
You know?
That's exactly what his followers saw him as. They saw him as Jesus.
Exactly.
He was promising Manson. He was promising them that Helter Skelter or the race war would start. They would go dig a hole in the desert where their family would grow and they would build and like they'd be prepared, and that the black people would win the Helter Skelter race war. And
bro, that was a trick.
Because black people are so stupid that the Manson family would come out on top
and then take over after the black people won the race war first, and then
How dumb were those 15-year-old girls that he was fucking, bro?
It's like, yeah.
That's creepy too.
It's real creepy, and that adds on to like the whole making hippies look like creep. You know, like that. It's like that weird like yellow deli cult thing. You know, like where everybody thinks that yellow deli is all weird because it kind of gives you like that vibe, like. What is this? Like cultish vibes, like you never know what could really be happening. Like the dudes with like the mustache, you know, like the long hair looking like Jesus kind of, or like Charles Manson, like, you know, it's like it ties into that stereotype. Like, you know, it gives you that energy that you're like, I don't know.
But it's almost like the CIA wanted us to have that image of like getting grouped up together, because if we group up together, that's what we start thinking about every time. Like, I don't want to be too in deep with these people. That's cult-like.
Damn.
But where did all that come from? That came from Heaven's Gate. That came from Charles Manson. That came from Scientology. And all those things started around the same time. And it's funny the parallels that you could draw between the creator of Scientology and like the occult and like Aleister Crowley.
Sure.
But we don't even need to talk about that. Yeah. That should be another podcast though.
Damn,
Scientology and Aleister Crowley should be a whole podcast on its own.
I'm down.
But Manson in specific, in 1967 when he got out of prison, he had the same PO that he had when he had gotten locked up before that last prison run, except this time they were handling his case completely different. Like, there's a bunch of times he was getting arrested, and then the cops were giving him a slap on the wrist. This is a dude that had been in prison off and on throughout his whole life.
Bro, he was going
to jail as a minor, going to juvie, and then he started doing Grand Theft Auto as an adult, and he was going in and out of bids. In and out of bids. Mm-hmm. He was in and out of bids his whole life, and now all of a sudden, like, he's getting in trouble with the law, and they're just giving him a slap on the wrist.
Up until
for 2 years, they were just giving him a slap on the wrist, like allowing him to go into clinics with these women that were in his family and giving them whatever they wanted, like hooking them up with STD treatments, hooking them up with abortions, hooking them up with all this shit. Like, while he was meeting his PO, and in the same office building was someone that was one of the introductory testers on LSD. This is all the parallels that this guy was drawing.
Wait, are you just talking about coincidences, bro? Because I think you're going to have to just tie that all off as coincidence because, you know, that couldn't be intertwined at all. It's just impossible. Conspiracy.
And what happened if something can happen, it does. That's the Murphy's Law, right? Like, if something is able to happen, then it will every time. It will. Like, if they were able to abuse their power in that moment, then why wouldn't they?
Exactly.
They didn't think that 60 years later, like, every information about the whole trial would be out and, like, that people would have tapes and other people would come forward. Like, no one ever thought that back then. They're like, oh, the world's not connected by cameras and telephones and cell phones yet.
Well, it probably, I mean, nothing really would have been too exposed if it wasn't for Guy. Big homie on the internet, on the fucking podcast, you know, that fool put in the most work.
Life. His entire life.
Because without him, that would have been the narrative. Literally what you just said, you know, like about like how the killings went down and how Manson was just a random guy that ended up getting these random girls together. You know, it wouldn't have anything to do with CIA. It wouldn't have anything to do with MK Ultra. It wouldn't have anything to do with it because no one would put those pieces together. But
Guy did.
Homie, he put on for the team. And I think that dude, I was reading comments and like a lot of the people were like, damn, this guy's like fucking, you know, like there are a lot of positive comments, like go, like shout out to this fool. But it's like some dude who said like if a lot more people were doing things like that, we could get to the bottom of a lot. You know, like if people are super invested, but we need automation, like you're saying. Well, automation works in the society that we're going towards because it's all going to be machinery, you know. But like we necessarily don't need automation as opposed to comfortability, you know. But like like automation will make us comfortable because of the way society will.
Well, automation in that sense would give us the ability to pursue the creative realm and like the fitness realm and the spiritual realm in ways where jobs would be like that. Like your job would be like going on quests.
Exactly.
It'd be like some Dragon Ball shit, like raising your ki and like going with fucking Whis and Beerus off to fucking planet whatever to like train Super Saiyan Blue. Like that's how we would start evolving.
Exactly, that'd be the progression.
But I mean, people don't even understand that even concept. People don't even get that that's a possibility.
Nah. But but what you were saying about fucking grouping together, that's crazy that you say that, because then like you can tie that into like the church getting rid of paganism, witchcraft, all that type of black magic because of them grouping together and them, you know, doing something against the norm or like how society would see as like as socially acceptable, you know,
and secretly doing hella gnarly occult shit in the tops of the churches.
Which is
pedophilia, blood, like drinking blood, all that shit is going on in the top levels. The politicians are gathering at Bohemian Grove to pray to a fake owl and do a mock fucking killing. They're doing it at Yale secret societies. I didn't know that. I knew about Bohemian Grove, and they had Bohemian Grove and that Above Majestic shit too. But they're like the Yale secret societies. Like, this is all things that we see in movies all the fucking time. We hear about it in movies. It's the plot of why would they be putting that down our mind so much? To get it to look ridiculous.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's true. And only certain people are gonna notice the information. You know, to the common person right now, the frequency that they're on and the network programming that they receive is exactly that. You know, network. You know, they don't process they don't take it with their brain, the information that they're receiving, and decode the information. You know, that's the biggest problem, I think, is letting the information sink in without decoding it, you know, and that's what's the craziest part, because
let it code your brain instead of adding it into your program. That's what whoa.
That's the fucking huge part, bro.
They're like computer coders, and like unless you know how to code your own computer, you just continually get programmed.
You get updates, system updates.
What the fuck, bro? Why they gotta do it to us like that?
But every generation is a system update, my dude. Holy shit.
God, bro. What did you just do to my mind right now, bro? I'm looking at life a whole new way.
They have all the information.
Every generation, every 20 years.
That was boom, atomic bomb in my head, bro.
All right, but let's continue.
That all ties in. Fuck it.
It does all tie in.
That's
Fuck
crazy,
yeah,
dog.
Okay, so one of the parts I thought was super crazy was how he was initially like doing his book and getting the magazine to fund it. The whole time. No, you're good. He was getting the magazine to fund it, and then like somehow came up on the magazine after like the boss that hired him to do that project got fired for letting him to continue to do it, and then they like dumped him, and then someone else picked him back up. Almost like this whole synchronistic thing. And Pugliosi, the prosecutor that prosecuted Charles Manson and his family.
That is, you're gonna go into like what he was trying to do,
bro. This fool would go interview that guy, Vince Pugliosi, and Pugliosi would like tell him stuff off record. Like they would shut their recorders off, or they were supposed to shut their recorders off, and he would tell him stuff that he wasn't allowed to write down. And the whole time, like, one of them might have had the recorder on, and he took all this evidence home, and like some of this, like he has threats on his recorder of Vince Pugliosi being like, "You better not put that in your book. If you put that in your book, I'll fucking ruin you. I'll destroy your
life." Yeah, but it's like he was saying that fool was trying to tell him to turn off the recorder and on so many times that like he couldn't even keep up, and that's why it would sometimes be on, you know, because like the dude was just so crazy and just out of pocket that it didn't have to be like stumbling. He'd be like, "All right, leave it on," and then like keep going with it. He'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, bro? What are you saying?" You know, like almost on borderline crazy shit.
Sounds like he was pretty borderline crazy, the shit that he was doing in his like personal life. Like he has a charge where he thought the mailman was his mailman. Or my bad, milkman. Remember the milkman part? He thought his milkman was impregnating his wife and wanted to get a paternity test on the milkman and was harassing the milkman. And same thing, he had a client of his that claimed he was like a mistress that he was like assaulting. And like both of these situations in the public eye, he was made to seem like these other people were lying on him and they were like he was crazy, but these behavior patterns show up all throughout his career. And someone with that much power that he has, he's the most famous prosecutor, prosecutes Charlie Manson. Like everyone, of course, is gonna believe him.
Hell yeah, bro.
In reality, he's just abusing his power on every front, stalking random civilians to try to like prove points. Like, bro, this guy was a straight up vigilante, like trying to like create his own power system. And these are the type of people that were running the American government back when our parents were kids. These are the type of people that were like leading changes in society and like giving us our narrative.
Wow, they got rid of one of the greatest presidents, to ever fucking touch the earth. Like that, like they just like right after the other. Like it's like, damn, son, it's crazy. Okay, so what was that whole thing about? The dude that I think they were trying to like recruit people to go to like the houses, and then like a little girl ended up dying or some shit like that. Or
okay, the little girl dying was like it was offset from Manson. It had something to do with a guy named Jolly West, who was like a psychiatrist.
Okay.
And the guy that you're talking about had like some freak out in the middle of the night, like
off the acid, right? Or whatever they gave him.
I think that he had a little bit of alcohol in his system, but they didn't know what else that he had in his system. And he killed a girl and then woke up and didn't know how he had gotten there, didn't know what had happened. And he was tying that back to like the Manchurian Candidates, because this dude was like enrolled in a program on some like army or military base, like something that they weren't disclosing back in the day that he had to dig up later. And the guy had no recall, and it lines up completely with MK Ultra. And a dude that was a top LSD researcher, Jolly West, was his psychiatrist.
That's who it was, yeah. Okay.
Prior and post to like handle the whole situation.
Bro, how is your psychiatrist gonna be an LSD researcher?
They didn't even know LSD was a thing back then. That wasn't public knowledge back then.
That's like a super evil genius, bro. Like diabolical, like
the person that's supposed to be healing you actually giving you, and you not even knowing what the fuck that fool's doing. Bro, the CIA giving psychedelics to people back in the 40s and the 50s without them knowing that they were taking psychedelics. Imagine at age 15, someone just dropping a tab of acid into your fucking milk carton at lunch and then just going about your day.
And then all of a sudden you're just like, everything starts melting.
But like, you've never experienced this before.
Exactly.
You don't know what LSD is.
You're going to die. I would think I was going to die.
For sure. That's probably why they freaked out and killed people.
Isn't that crazy how that's literally just the turn of the mind, Like, if you know that you're on LSD because we know the effects of it, then you're going to have a good time, you're going to feel it. But the second you don't know what the fuck that foreign substance is in your body, and you don't know like how it's going to react, you're thinking
you're seeing hallucinations, and you might end up killing someone.
Because you don't know how to handle it. Oh, shit.
And they were trying to get people to, like, be programmed to the point where a word would be said, and then they would flip and, like, go kill someone. Like, just like that. And, like, with no ties back to the CIA, with no ties back to any, like, initiative or agenda. That's why they say all the people that killed all the presidents, MLK, fucking RFK, like, all those people were Manchurian candidates. Because lone shooters, no real reason.
Holy fuck.
Like, why did they do that? Why? Oh, because they had hatred in their heart? Who really has enough time to, you know what I mean? The school shooters.
It's crazy,
the mass
too?
shooters.
Yeah, exactly. But no one gets it. Who's gotten assassinated lately, Like, besides who was, like, Osama and fucking, who else did we get? What's the other nigga's name? Saddam?
That was back at the Bush.
Way back, yeah, I know, but like that was like that was more in modern times. But like
Gaddafi,
if there was Gaddafi. So much hatred in niggas' hearts and people everyone's got a strap now. Like it's so much easier for someone to get a gun. Like if that was how things are supposed to go down, it was so easy for someone to assassinate someone, then it would be happening more. Trump would have gotten assassinated by now, bro. You think people don't hate that fool?
No, it has to be sanctioned. The cabal or like the group of powers behind the power itself would have to okay it for it to go down, because they allow things that they don't like for certain time periods just to offset shit. They allow shit that's good for them and shit that's bad for them to like, and they keep a balance of both.
There has to be a balance. They know the laws of nature, and they follow everything by numerical code too. So like, when you get into like the 47s, the 911s, the 432s, the 9s and all that shit, it's all. They follow that code, so whenever you see something that happens with the cabal or like the elite, it'll be like in those time frames, or like you'll see a number that has to do with those, with that, and you'll be like, whoa, what the fuck, like. What
in Above Majestic were they talking about when they said that everyone at that meeting was a 33-degree Mason? Was that the Warren Commission, or it was,
what meeting was it? I don't know.
They were talking about in Above Majestic, a certain meeting that was had in like a higher up thing where every person at the meeting was a 33-degree Mason. But like all of them are Masons. And all of them tie back to the fucking British bloodline, the kings and the queens and probably the pharaohs.
Or whatever.
I just want to know the fucking truth, bro.
I think the only way you could ever know the truth is to go within, to be honest.
To download it from the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't have to be true to the people that you talk to.
I think people have already gave us the truth time and time and time and time and time again. And until you can actually, to experience it. Like, I was talking with Naka the other day. That's exactly what she said. She's like, when I did ayahuasca, like, I saw, like, cool shapes or whatever and colors, but I didn't see any beings necessarily like I would think I saw, But, like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't think that you should come into the mindset with you wanting to see necessarily a being as opposed to letting the vibrations come to you, because the beings are the vibrations, So once you are on a tuning of being able to,
if you're trying to force it and
trying to see something that's not actually there as opposed to letting the things that are actually there come to you.
Because you're ready. Yeah, no, I feel that.
Because that's what happened to me with DMT the first time, bro. I didn't see shit. I was like, what the fuck? This is weird. And then the second time, blasted off.
For me, acid was like that. I didn't know you back then. It was 2013, my bad. I met you 2 years after that. It was me, Chuck, and a bunch of people at my old crib. And I remember, like, trying to act like I was on acid. Because I felt, like, jittery. Because I think it was some 2CI, honestly. But, like,
yeah.
I didn't really, like, have the fucking crazy... Like, I think maybe I had alphabet soup numbers on my fucking phone. But that was about it. Really? But then after that, like, I had some of my craziest trips, though, with you right here in this fucking studio with Trey and Bougie and Aaron and fucking Saint.
Fuck yes.
And watching Doctor Strange in the movie theater, like, some of the crazy trips, recording Under the Sea and fucking, like, editing that shit on acid. You remember that?
Yeah. See, that's why it's such a crazy narrative to put on acid as being, mind-controlling, brainwashing, on and off switch for fucking evil deeds, when we've had such creative, like, God moments on it. I want to say,
yeah.
I equate the like God or like the feeling of divinity to like creativity, and like that feeling of the essence, like it doesn't necessarily have to be a being that you talk to or anything like fucking that. It's like the God touches you with
higher intelligence, bless you with an idea or like. And that's how, like, when they were talking about that in Above Majestic, how when we dropped the atomic bomb and it traveled through the electrical filaments, like, signals traveled through the electrical filaments from star to star to star where there's other intelligent life, we send a message to them saying, hey, you're at a certain level of advancement, but you're not conscious. And then right after that is when Roswell and all that shit started to go down because they're like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, don't you know, like thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, other beings have done this nuclear warfare, and look where it went. It didn't go nowhere. And they haven't let us drop a bomb since.
Supreme Kais.
Yeah.
That's what they are. That's crazy, right?
They are like Supreme Kais.
That's exactly what I equate them to.
I wonder who the Grand Kai is. Who's the Zeno?
Zeno. Dude, I know.
Who's the Whis and the Beerus? Who's the Destroyer God? Those the reptilians? Is that like the lead reptilian?
Well, that's like,
my bad.
Beerus is fucking Anubis, like, for sure. Yeah. But, I mean, like, obviously, it's, like, there's probably aspects of all the Egyptian gods in him, but, like, the depiction is...
And Whis has this, like, the circle around him.
And he's an angelic being. Yeah, that's crazy, dog. Oh, so it was cool that, fucking, when he was talking, when Tom O'Neill was talking about how when he went to go meet with his lawyer, or, like, his attorneys... They were like, is this guy, like, mentally ill? They're talking about fucking... Pugliosi, yeah. Like,
because he wrote that letter to defame him.
34 pages with 50 pages of attachments. A letter is trying to, like, dispute all the things all the claims, proof that...
The book.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, Tom's like, is that going to affect our sales, or like, is that going to affect the publishing? He's like, nah, we got him now. Like, let's pop the champagne type shit. Like, damn, son. Yeah, like, you got someone when they have to, like, come back with with 34-page rebuttal, 50-page attachments. Like, fuck.
He was scared for his life, man. If that shit had gotten out when he was alive, his reputation would have been done.
Destroyed.
And the thing is now is, like, he's dead, so, like, people aren't going to go back and talk ill of the dead. I don't like that rule, bro. Why can't we talk ill of the dead if they were some fucking shady motherfuckers, bro?
Can't talk ill of Hitler. That's crazy.
Hey, but if all these,
that's a Jew.
No, I know, but I'm saying fuck Hitler. Like, what? It's stupid that people would say shit like that. Like, what the fuck? fuck Hitler all day, you know?
Everyone celebrated it on his birthday.
420? But, yeah, because people are stupid, but it's not like we're celebrating Hitler's birthday. That is crazy that is Hitler's birthday.
Apparently Hitler is like
That's
an
crazy.
intergalactic time-traveling fucking genius, according to Above Majestic.
Did you watch that movie?
Yeah. So, is he still alive or what?
I mean, if I was Hitler and I was fucking meeting with extraterrestrials and
In Antarctica?
traveling to other galaxies where there's other Earths that people look just like us, I would just pop myself on another one of those timelines, bro. I would just go over there and kill the Jews that are there.
What if there's... Okay, so if we get into quantum... And there's just a bunch of different Hitlers, the same exact being, you know, in these different worlds that speak almost a different type of Hebrew or English or whatever these different human languages are. Like, it's just a bunch of
And
different...
there's just another scapegoat to people because, like, the Jews have been persecuted throughout time. The first monotheistic, whatever, that's what the Jews think of themselves. Monotheistic religion. And what if there's other, like, people that were coincidentally that group on that planet. And that person that wants to persecute those people is that Hitler. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Bro, we're just too smart for our own good, bro.
There's a lot of growing that you can do. Just your mind can have, you know, it can be like a sponge, or it can be like a rock. You know, you can like just expel all. You can just not let anything like enter it, or let it, like you said, it pretty much. What is it, like, code your brain, because you're not decoding the information, so it's like just stick. It's like, what is it, like, you know, the subliminal messages that like they'll just flash a picture real quick.
And if your brain is a rock, bro, and they stick a code onto it, it just sticks.
It doesn't know it. Yeah.
But if your brain is a sponge and there's all these different tubes and tunnels and places for you to compartmentalize, oh, like, this is that theory that has to do with that different possible reality. This is that theory that has to do with this. Oh, this, a lot of people think this is bullshit, but you should consider this every time you think about that, because that really connects with this, and this connects with that. So if this connects with that, and that connects with this, then this connects with that.
So basically, what we've said this whole time is that hindsight is 2020.
Real shit. Hindsight is 2020. Real quick, before we wrap the podcast up, I just had this realization.
What is the realization, sir?
We are Goku and Vegeta.
Holy shit.
Think about it, bro. If the fucking aliens came down right now and were like, you could go through this special training program, learn how to use your me and you would be like the prime candidate.
So let's go right now.
We'd be the prime candidates, bro. We'd be like, all right, I want to aim this shit. Avatar.
And okay, so before we end, Goku and Vegeta come from another planet that's like Earth, or with like humanoid type ape beings, and they get sent to this planet to do
kill, and then they end up becoming one with and learn how to be the rulers of Anki and fucking and Leo.
It's always the same replete story, told a little bit differently. We'll add some spices here and
it's
there.
In the subconscious of every creator and writer for a reason.
They just project it no matter what, bro. Like, even when you watch Naruto, bro, like the origin of how the ninjutsu starts, or like chakra itself, which is like, you know, aura, energy, chakra. Yeah, you know, that's what they use like as energy. Is this alien being, woman, basically, is like this white being with like a third eye on her fucking head, comes down. Her name's Kaguya, and then she has two sons, and then the tree of chakra is what they all get their chakra from the tree, and then the fucking the sons take over like pretty
tree,
much
the brainstem.
Yeah, all you know exactly.
Why is there so much misinformation? We know the truth, bro. We know the truth.
But can't regret none of it. We just got to keep looking into the future, into the past. And right now, we got the year, we got the month, we got the week, we got this last hour.
That's where we get back.